The former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is back to the Supreme Court to reject the results of the election held on 9th August 2022 and declared by the chairman of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati. When Kenyans are asked why Raila Odinga is going to the Supreme Court, they will tell you about the results were 100.01%, because this is what they can best joke about. But did you know that the weight is not in the 100.01%? All the four commissioners that rejected those results know that the 0.01% has no effect and completely no effect to the results, and that cannot make the winner, the Deputy President William Ruto, to lose the 50+1 mark. The whole weight is going to the opaque nature of the election. Now, when you tell Kenyans about the opaque nature of the election, they have done all jokes. I think they have exhausted all the jokes. But would you please take a moment and go through this with me as I explain to you how the opaque nature can force the Supreme Court to nullify this election and send us back to the election. Hello and welcome to Keym Explains. Before I explain this, I would like to explain to you that in 2017, the same Supreme Court, after Raila Odinga went to reject the election, ordered the IEBC and told them the results that will be announced at the polling station will be final. And here is where most Kenyans don't understand. Let me take you deeper to the results announced at the polling station. To understand this, then you must understand something to do with Form 34A. This is the form that is filled the total number of votes that each candidate acquired or received in each polling station. Now understand this. A polling station is not a school. It is not a place. A polling station is that specific room that you went to vote. That room where you found a polling clerk who applied an ink on you after you voted. That room. The number of people or the amount of votes that were casted in that specific room were recorded in a certain form by the head of that room. The head of that room called the presiding officer. Now, after filling that form, the form was signed by the agent of each presidential candidate that was present. After signing that form, that copy of that Form 34A was required to be sent straight to the Keym kit, that specific gadget that was in that room, and that image was sent to the IEBC portal in the headquarters. And then that Form 34A was saved or was kept in a safe place. The presiding officer had to carry that Form 34A and take it to the constituency polling center, where he found the returning officer. And after finding the returning officer was supposed to receive all the Form 34As in that constituency. I hope you're understanding me. That form is from that specific polling station, but maybe you voted in a school that has more than one polling stations. So that polling station there are other polling stations in the same school, and there are other schools in that constituency. Now, all those forms were supposed to be collected by one person called the returning officer, who is the head of a constituency, and he was supposed to bring all those Form 34A together and fill another form. And this form has all the total number of votes for each and every candidate, every presidential candidate in each polling station, filled in one form. And that one form that constitutes all the polling station is called Form 34B. Again, this Form 34B was supposed to be collected and a photo taken, and then it should be uploaded and sent to the National Tallying Center, which is IEBC headquarters in Bomas. Now understand this. I started by telling you that in 2017, the Supreme Court ruled that the results announced at the polling center are final. I will still remind you that when Wafula Chebukati was announcing the results for constituency, after verifying the Form 34A, he said that the results in that form cannot be altered, cannot be changed. Even if there is an error, that error cannot be corrected there. That error can only be corrected in a error collection form. That's a separate form. But that doesn't mean that the results will be announced or will be determined by that error collection form. The results are still dependent on this Form 34A. So take an example, a polling center in X polling station. When you are filling that that paper, Form 34A, the presiding officer, instead of filling 11 votes, he filled 111. Instead of two number ones, he filled 3 number ones. Where does this error go? You see, this will be included in the final tally of the presidential results, because after receiving all these results, the national returning officer, the presidential returning officer, who is the chairman of the IEBC, is supposed to bring all these data together, verify the data in Form 34A and in Form 34B to prepare another form that has the number of votes that each candidate got in all polling stations, in all constituencies, to declare which candidates got the majority votes. And this is where he declares a winner. So just assume that in a certain Form 34A, there was an error of 100 votes that was added in favor of a certain candidate X. For example, an error that favored William Ruto, who was declared the winner. His error is not supposed to be changed in the Form 34A that was uploaded. The chairman of the IEBC is supposed to get the result from that form which was uploaded. Then the error should be recorded in the error correction form. So in the final tally, this error has not been addressed. So the question is, how do you go with a form that is already known that it is with error and it is not correct, and then you go on and declare a presidential candidate as a winner, yet there were errors which were not addressed? This is a problem that has not yet been addressed, and if it is addressed, it is not transparent enough on whether after correcting that error in the error correction form, the IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati was supposed to use the error form or to use the original form, because his argument says that this error form will be used as evidence in the Supreme Court in case of a petition. So that means the error has not been solved. So are we transparent enough? Are we honest? Are we fair to the candidates which is not favored in this case? If the answer is no, then we cannot understand. If we cannot understand, then it's not transparent. Then if it is not transparent, it means it is opaque. There's another aspect of opaqueness that comes after the delivery and the transmission of Form 34A. If you were keen during that particular day of election, the IEBC officials, after receiving Form 34A from all polling stations, the returning officer was then required to deliver the physical form. Understand this. Remember that the returning officer at the polling station, the presiding officer sent the form, the digital form, took an image of the form and sent it to the IEBC, which is the forms that people are downloading. Now, then that form was delivered to the presiding officer. And this presiding officer is then required to deliver the physical form to the IEBC so that IEBC can counter check and verify if the content in this physical form is the same with the content in the uploaded form. So you could see the commissioners, including that Commissioner Cherera who you are laughing about, verifying that they have confirmed that the physical form delivered for a certain constituency is true and is verified to have the same information with that which has been uploaded. As at by the time they stopped showing or declaring those results from every constituency, they had only done about how many forms? They had only done about, let me confirm the number of forms, about 259 Form 34Bs. Now remember, in Kenya we have 291 constituencies. So Form 34Bs, which is the form that puts together all the Form 34s was supposed to be 290 plus 1 diaspora. So as at the time they stopped declaring and showing the number of scores for every constituency, the commissioners and the IEBC had on national televisions declared 259 Form 34Bs. That means they had only declared results for 259 constituencies. Then, the chairman of the IEBC declared that they were supposed to announce the election winner, the president-elect, later in the day at 3 o'clock. So that means 32 forms were left unattended. Are you getting me? 32 constituencies were not yet declared on how many votes each candidate got by the time they stopped the live coverage or the live by the time they stopped telling Kenyans how many votes each candidate got in every constituency. So these 32 constituencies were left hanging. So Kenyans don't know yet how many votes each candidate got in those 32 constituencies. And now that the agents and the candidates and the followers of those candidates were dependent on what these commissioners and the IEBC were telling them on national televisions, that means they are in darkness and they do not know the specific gains or the specific scores for their candidates in these 32 constituencies. So if an election is declared that a particular person is a winner, yet the IEBC had not finished declaring results for 32 constituencies, even if you win or even if you don't win, that means you lose. Wouldn't you want to know how you scored in these 32 constituencies? If you don't know, is the election body IEBC transparent in this, or it's not transparent? Can you understand how you scored in the 32 constituencies, or you cannot? If you cannot understand, it's not transparent. If it is not transparent, then it is opaque, and that convinces one to believe that something had cooked if the IEBC does not want to declare this on the national television. Then I will also go back to this story of the discrepancies between the number of votes casted for presidency, the number of votes casted for governors, for women rep, for senators, and the number of votes for MPs. There's a question here that the Azimio team is asking. That, for example, in Kiambu town or in Kiambu County, there are over 1 million people who voted for the president and did not vote for anybody else. That means they voted for the president but did not vote for the governor, the senator, the MCA, the MP, or the women rep. They did not vote for that one. But the big question is not that they did not vote. The big question is the possibility of them not voting. If they did not vote, are there rejected votes or are there invalid ballot papers? Because at the polling station, each and every voter was supposed to be presented with at least 6 ballots. And these 6 ballots is one for the president, for the governor, for the senator, for the women rep, for the MP, and for the MCA. You are supposed to go to the voting booth with 6 ballots. And even if you were not to vote for the 6 people, you are to vote for the president alone, then you are supposed to have the 6 but 1 ticked. So the one that you have ticked, you will, or the one that you have voted, for example, for the president, you drop it to the box that was bearing the presidential ballots. So the other ones that were not filled, you are anyway, whether you have voted or you have not, to drop them on their respective boxes. So you are supposed to drop them unmarked so that at the end of the day, they would go as invalid votes or as rejected ones, or they will go as votes that did not favor anyone. So they had to be captured anywhere. But in Kiambu town, there is seen that we have around 1 million plus votes that voted for the president but did not vote for any other candidate. Yet the rejected or the invalid votes are less than that 1 million. To give it a meaning, then there could be 1 million invalid votes or invalid ballot papers that could be collected or could be captured in the numbers that were transmitted to the IEBC to say that these people voted for only one person, or to say that these 1 million ballots were found in every ballot box unmarked. Or do you think that there is possibility that 1 million people in one county moved into the polling station, took one paper, yet the law requires that the polling clerks were supposed to give 6 papers to each and every voter? Don't you think that something is hidden, that it is possible that these figures were cooked? If you don't believe that it is possible mtu kwenda kwa polling station achukue ballot moja aende achague president peke yake na aende aeke pale, don't you think it is not transparent enough? Don't you think it is not understandable? It is beyond understanding that 1 million people can do that. If that is a case of 1 counties, how many cases do we have for 47 other counties? If the Supreme Court listens to these arguments, because they are also human beings who are in Kenya, they don't sleep in heaven and come in the morning. They hear what people say and they watch television, they watched as the IEBC presented the results. If they are convinced enough, those are enough grounds to nullify this election. Thank you for watching.